folks, and welcome. It is Wednesday, so it is time for TCSRL, and our sim racing league this week takes us, as we see a couple of cars going off into the gravel, I'm assuming for fun, to the Slovakia Ring Grand Prix track, which is not commonly known on many sims, but a favourite of the old touring car sim racing league. We've raced this in TC many times, and this is the first time we're visiting it, obviously, as this is the first season we have done with the Super Tourers. This week I am joined by my wonderful friend Matty Heaton, and I'm sure Aaron will be along shortly. He does work a little bit later than us other two, so he does tend to get on a little bit later, but Aaron will be with us as soon as possible, I'm sure. Matty, welcome along.
Thank you for having me yet again, Mike. It's good to be here. I'm looking forward to experiencing a track that I've never seen before.
You don't have to thank me for coming along, mate. You're in now. It's like the Hotel California. You check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. So you are one of us now. One of us. Anyway, I'm talking nonsense, obviously. So, Slovakia Ring. Not a common track. Anything you've got any experience of previous, Matt, or is this going to be all fresh to your eyes?
It's completely fresh to me. I had no idea there was a ring in Slovakia. So I've had a very brief look online. Looks like some very long straights and some sweeping corners, but other than that, I cannot offer zero insight into the actual track itself.
Yeah, it's got some interesting. There's a lot of drafting that goes on because the straights are long. But when there are a few sort of quite sharp turns where you can really get a move done, particularly as you come over the bridge, there's a sharp left, and there's a couple of other spots as well. But it's a really interesting track. It's a real challenge to drive, but also should lend itself to some good close racing across the field. That's the hope, but it is one of our longer tracks, not like last week, so it may not be as close as it was last week. But of course, different ballast allocation this week, depending on where people finished last week, and obviously the position in the standings. Unfortunately, I've been busy this week. I haven't had time to update the tables, but we will get those to you next time out, I am sure. So apologies for not having those, but we will get those ready for next time to show you the updates. But so there is going to be ballast applied, obviously, based on championship position, which will obviously impact the cars. So, so there was discussion last week. Something that I hadn't realised with the starting of this new series, Matt, is that in the TCs, the automated tyre, because again, there are no setup changes allowed on these cars. Whatever the default setup is what you get. The default tyre was hard. Now, we've been told the default tyre for this series is actually the soft. So what are the characteristic differences between a hard and a soft tyre?
I mean, with it being a softer tyre, it tends to grip a lot more, but because it is the softer tyre, it will naturally then degrade a lot quicker. So you're going to have more grip off the start, round the corners, into the braking zones, anything like that. But you're going to find that it's going to degrade and become a lot more slippy a lot quicker, and it's going to be more difficult to keep those tyres managed throughout the race.
Absolutely. So weight will have even more of an impact on a soft tyre than it would on a hard tyre on that basis, which is I guess what is hopefully going to keep this interesting. Very warm welcome to our wonderful friend Aaron Markham. Good evening,
Hello.
sir. Hope you're well.
I am well.
I can see a shell badge on your top, so you're fueled and ready to go.
I am. That is quite right. If you hear the wheel bricking itself and rotating, it's because the computer's just turned on, so I apologise. And I can't see either of you gentlemen because there's a big Logitech G-Hub filling my screen, but it's good to be here.
Oh, these are faces you don't want to see unless you've got absolutely no choice, mate, so that's absolutely fine. So practice is just coming to a close now. We're just moments away from qualifying. Slovakia Ring, Aaron, take us through the challenges, I guess, that the drivers face up there today.
Proper, tight and twisty little track. I think Poddy Flack might have described it as foreign Snetterton, so you can sort of see why. There's not too much in the way of undulation. Obviously, I think there's a bridge that crosses over the track at one point, or something like that. But it's pretty tight, pretty twisty. There's not much rest, and I remember it being an absolute tyre killer. So I think the boys are in store for that one tonight.
It'll be interesting to see how the soft tyres hold up around this track. Like I say, a lot of sweeping corners. You've got some tight stuff as well. The car wants to understeer a lot around here, so it's quite a challenge. But qualifying just about to get underway, and we will do a lap with one of our drivers now. I think we'll jump on with Poddy Flack this week. It was a double race winner last week. Let's see if he's back on form this week. So we'll just wait for him to come round towards the start of the lap. Let's move the scene over to our racing and get rid of our ugly studio-based faces. We don't need those for a little while. And I will just turn my camera off. I will share my screen with my learned colleagues so they can see what is going on. If I can remember which one it is. There it is. That was it. And we will get ready for our first lap of qualifying of the Slovakia Ring Grand Prix. So you forget just how much elevation change there is here, don't you, when you see them going up over all the little bridges, and that really does impact the braking when you're going downhill in some of these sections. Of course, with these cars with no ABS, it's quite a challenge having to adjust your braking depending on what part of the track you're on. Like I say, purely because of the elevation changes, you can see how much uphill and downhill actually happens, which you don't notice so much when you're driving, but on the camera here you can really see it. So this is just the last couple of corners, I think, from what I can remember, and we are getting prepped up for a lap. So Aaron, I'm going to chuck it over to you, and we're going to go through a lap of the Slovakia Ring on board with Mr. Poddy Flack.
Cool. It's been a long time for me since I've driven Slovakia Ring, so apologies if I get a little bit lost, but down into turn one, it's a fourth gear sort of mid-speed corner as you go over to the first of the elevation rises over one of the many bridges here at Slovakia Ring. Track loops around, Poddy braking probably at the 50-metre board. I say braking, maybe it's a little dab. Potentially could get away with it in the Super Tours, taking it at least somewhat mid-throttle over another one of the many bridges, down under the cherry picker there, down a couple of gears as well. You can see he's clinging onto the back of the Volvo there, gives him a little bit of a tow through the straighter parts of Slovakia Ring, but maybe he's harming him a little bit through the mid-speed corners such as these. Obviously it says fifth gear, but not quite top speed as he shifts back down into third. Not many slow corners at the Slovakia Ring, I will grant you that, but you can see why it's an absolute tyre murder. It's just non-stop left, right, as we jump into one of the few slow corners. Poddy sticking to the back of that Volvo like it is going out of fashion. He rises over another one of the many bridges as we are in the mid to later part of the lap. He doesn't take much curb there. Interesting to see that the Volvo in front did take a bit more curb, but he's a bit more neater here, probably trying to set himself up for another good run onto the bridge. There must be about 20 bridges here at Slovakia Ring. It's quite ridiculous. But this is the last part of the lap. It's a big run down into a sweeping right at centre onto the home straight. Doesn't quite stray as far left as you'd expect. Bit of a different line to the Volvo in front of him, but you can see it's kind of double apex there as he tries to hug the curb and send him on a good run onto the main straight. That last corner is quite interesting one, isn't it, Mike? You can take a few different lines there to get the run.
You can, and you see a lot of cars tussling back and forth in that area, sort of looking to get the toe really down and keep the toe all the way down until you get to one of those two slow corners, really, because that is your overtaking opportunity. But Flack does complete the lap, but it was invalidated somewhere, so I think he exceeded track limits at some point, which is a shame. So far we've got Georges User, who is out in front with a 209.3, Kubalija with a 209.5, and then Phil Lawson another tenth and a half back. And a bit of a gap then to Stu Neal, Manuel Alves and Shoke Papadim, all pretty close together in 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. And then another bit of a gap back to Butcher, Neal and Campion. Our other drivers yet to set a time. Anything stand out for you on that on-board lap map here, Matty? I know it's a new track for you, so anything there that you that stood out for you?
Yeah, it's with it being a quali lap, and obviously he's following a car closely, so it's interesting to see how close he was behind, and obviously it's difficult for us to tell just how hard he was trying to, fight with the grip if it was potentially causing him some understeering. But yeah, plenty of long straights and plenty of, like this one just here, heavy braking zones. Sorry, I was looking at a completely different screen there. Yeah, I'm interested just how many overtaking opportunities there's going to be around here.
Yeah, it's one of those where you do have to be patient and just follow the car around in front and just wait for that opportunity. But mistakes are so easy here. This, like I said, the car wants to understeer around these sort of long sweeping corners, so you're feathering the throttle while trying to keep the balance of the car right. A lot of the braking zones you are kind of like that last turn at Snet where you're not actually straight, so you kind of got to straighten the car up. It's very easy to lock your wheels rather than trying to brake while you're turning, because that'll just spin you around. So there's a lot going on. So it's more a race of attrition than a race of overtakes. So I think you're more likely to see other drivers making mistakes than drivers making sort of nailed overtakes. But we will see. While we've been chatting away there, Kerbalisha has gone on to pole with a 209.1, 2/10 ahead of George User. And Lawson is up to third now in the Volvo. So a couple of change of positions now. So it's Kerbalisha, User, Lawson are your top three at the moment. Still half of the qualifying session to go yet. Longer track than last week, so kind of the opposite of what we said, I guess, Aaron. Last week we said short track, it's great. If you make a mistake, you get more laps. This one is 40 seconds longer than last week, so you get less laps and less opportunity if you do make a mistake. So you kind of got to get at least a banker in at some point.
Aaron did drop out very quickly just as you started talking there, so
I completely dipped.
That's quite all right. That's fine. It's not a problem.
I full on disconnected. It just totally froze for some reason. So I am very sorry.
That's fine.
Blame my Aldi Wi-Fi.
Not a problem, mate. Not a problem. So we are just watching Phil Lawson now. I think he's about to start another lap. His last lap was invalid, so he is going again. Be interested to speak to the drivers. Obviously, using the hard tyre in TC, you're kind of able to do a full quali session really on one set, and it takes about 3 laps to get heat into the tyres. I'm wondering how much different that is with these, with the softs, in terms of getting them up to temperature and whether they last a full session or whether they're having to take 2 sets or 3 sets. Be interesting to find that out from the drivers a bit later on, but we will see.
It was always a proper balance. So
I think he's having internet issues again.
He is, yeah. I wasn't sure if that was me or him then.
Yeah. Sounds like Aaron's having some connection issues tonight, which is fine. We can deal with that. Anyway, so back to qualifying. So it's only a second covering the top 11 drivers at the moment. So it's super close. They're closer than we've seen, which is interesting. Probably a little bit, Matty, of the guys getting used to the cars, because obviously it's a new series, new set of cars, and the ballast doing its job with the weight being there to level the playing field a little bit. So yeah, the closest field we've seen so far, a second covering the top 11.
Yeah, it's only a good thing for us watching and anybody watching at home. Hopefully it brings on some fantastic racing, and like you say, that's the whole purpose of the ballast, is to add a little bit of something for the drivers to have to think about and slow them down a little bit for the faster guys out the front, like your Kerbalisha, like your George User. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do on a bigger track with the extra weight that's a little bit less, tight and windy like Brands Hatch can be.
Yeah, and that's the interesting differences there. You'll have tracks that'll come to and for different cars, and obviously different levels of ballast will have impacts on different tracks. So it's a very interesting point there, and it'll be interesting to see whether it's less impactful here with it being long straights, or more impactful because it's hard to get the speed going out the corner to carry that speed down the straight. So I'm sure we'll find out as the sessions go on, particularly in the races, when they've got to go as hard as they can for 15 minutes straight. So at the moment then we've got Kurbeleja who is in first position, then you've got George User in second still, Phil Lawson in third, Craig Deacon up to fourth position now, he's done 5 laps so far. Then we've got Bradovic in fifth, Stu Neal is in sixth, Poddy Flack in seventh. Poddy not showing the pace this week last week, but he's got a bit of ballast on now due to his immense success last week, so again, it's levelling itself out a little bit. Manuel Alves in 8th, Shoke in 9th. Russ Butcher back from holiday this week. He is in the BMW in 10th position. Papadane in 11th. Bit of a gap then back to Rob South in the Honda in 12th. Derek Neal in 13th. Bill Campion in 14th. Elwood in 15th. The other Honda of Andy Foster is in 16th. And then Carl Smith is in 17th position. So that is our grid for tonight. We're just waiting to see if there are going to be any major changes in position. Carl Smith hasn't set a time yet, so we will see how we get on with him and whether he's going to have time to do it. He's running out of time. He needs to get one because there's only a couple of minutes left in this session, so he is up against it now to get that lap in. And it'll be interesting to see how the four-wheel drive Audi does actually fare on a track like this. He's the only Audi out there today, the other one not racing this evening, so let's see how this sole Audi gets on.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm not sure where he is on the circuit, obviously being new to it, but he needs to get a shift on because I don't think it's going to get many more laps with it being just over 2-minute lap. There's just over 2 minutes left, so he's going to be cutting it close if he can't keep it clean on this one.
Yeah, I think this is just the penultimate corner here now, and then he'll be through to start a flying lap. Doesn't appear to be any major change in position happening elsewhere in the field. Everyone is as they were. So Carl Smith does set his first lap time there, which is a 2:10.5, and he seems happy enough for that. Very, very close to Rob South actually, so maybe if he had gone again, he might have managed to make up another position or two, but that is what it is. He's now in the pits, so who have we got out on track? A lot of people still out there, still trying to get that last lap in. Be interesting to see if we get any changes for position. Russ Butcher is on a hot lap at the moment. At least he says he's on a hot lap, but we will see. Yeah, so he was half a second down in the first sector, which is quite a lot, but it is quite a long track.
Is that split there at the bottom, half second down? Is that on his personal time or is that on the pole?
That'll be on the pole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's it'll be based on the pole time. If it's purple, obviously it's the fastest overall. If it's green, it's his PB, and if it's red, it's neither of those things. So yes, it is based on the pole time. So maybe he's just getting heat in the tyres, ready to do one last lap, but he is running out of time. He might just make it to the line, but I'm not sure whether he will or will not in the time that we have remaining. So we will see how we fare. Kubley just called it a day. He doesn't think anybody's going to get on, and that's it. Quality's been called early, apparently. It seems to do this with 30 odd seconds left. It just calls quality. Goes over. One of Race Room's wonderful little glitches there. So yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. But congratulations to Bojan Kurbeleja that he is on pole position. I think that's his second pole of the season. I think, isn't it? He's been on pole for one of the previous races. I can't
Yes, I think it was him and Jules got the other from Quali, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so Kublija takes pole position. Huge congratulations to him. Followed by George User, followed by Phil Lawson in third. So pretty much the usual suspects towards the front. So no great surprise there. But even with the ballast, they've been unable. The other drivers are unable to really challenge them in quali, but quali's one thing, the race is another. They've got to do it for 15 minutes straight under immense pressure from other drivers, driving offline, dirty tyres, all sorts of other things. So still all to play for, Matt.
Absolutely, yeah. It's as these guys have shown over the last couple of weeks, they're incredibly talented when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing. Some of them incredibly impressive off the starts. So you may see a driver sitting in 7th, 8th, 9th on the grid, but that's not gonna hamper them too much when it comes to the racing. They could quite easily make their way up through that grid, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that happening.
Yeah, I'm really. Race 3 is the one I'm really looking forward to. Now I'm hoping for quite a big reverse grid, because I think on a track like this, where it is long but it is quite narrow a lot of the time, that should make for quite an interesting race. But let's see how it goes. So they're just on the formation lap now, which isn't actually a formation lap in the same way that you would see in real life. It's just them making their way onto the grid basically by saying start race, but the formation is just gives them minutes breathing time just to finalize their setup and get themselves ready and prepared. So we are just awaiting race 1. Our colleague Aaron is still having connection issues, so he may not make it back tonight, which will be a shame, but we will see how he gets on. But otherwise you'll just have to put up with us two gingers instead, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, fingers crossed he can make it back. Otherwise, the pressure's on me to try and fill that gap, and he is much more talented than I am.
I would not say that, not at all. Right, so we are getting ready for lights out. The lights are flashing red as it stands, and it's lights out and foot flat to the floor, and away we go down towards the first corner. Decent start from Curb Leisure, better than Bojan. He's pulled up a little bit of a gap. The other gaps are all pretty much the same. Russ Butcher with a really good start, makes up 2 positions up to 8th off the start. Really good for him, but he's lost one of those back again. So it's Curb Leisure followed by George User. Oh, deep move there from Craig Deeks, but Phil Lawson gets him back around the inside, so that was great off the start from Deeks, and him and Lawson managed to keep it nice and clean. But Deeks not giving him yet, but he's under pressure already from Stu Neal. We didn't have the best quali, but he'll be looking to make up positions in this race. Now he's got Deeks on the outside. You can see them all swarming around in the background. Poddy Flack is there as well. Obradovic is just Alphas and Volvos everywhere, all trying to overtake each other. Stu Neal gets the move done and gets up past Deeks, up into 4th position, not wasting any time getting these moves done as he moves himself up, and that's 2 positions he's made now. He's overtaken Deacon and Poddy Flack as well. Obradovic still in 7th, Shoki still in 8th, Butcher up 1 in 9th, Papadim up 1 in 10th. Alves, the one who's lost out off the start, poor start from him today. Smith made a decent start in the Audi, and somebody's gone off in the background there. There's a couple of cars off. One of them's Rob South, and it's the 2 Hondas. The 2 Hondas have come together. Rob South has lost 4 positions now, and yeah, I mean, what do you say to that, Mandy? We didn't see what happened, but just 2 Hondas just off into the kitty litter.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is. That's the joys of having wheel-to-wheel racing and having cars this close. We were concentrating on the chaos at the start, and Stu Neal getting that great start, making up a couple of spots, and fingers crossed they can make their way back through the grid, ready for race 2.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we hope for. So Deacon still putting pressure on Stu Neal. Stu Neal got that job done quite early on, but Deeks not giving up that position. So where are we? Curb Leisure has got nearly a second lead after that first lap, and then George User is a second ahead of Phil Lawson, who's been battling with Stu Neal and Deacon behind him. So then you've got Stu Neal under pressure from Deeks now as they head down towards turn 1. Turn 1 not always an overtaking opportunity, but if there's one there, they'll look for it. as Deeks does go down into turn 1. A little bit of contact there, but he gets the move done and then blocks off the line. Great move down into turn 1. Deeks has made that move twice now in the first lap, and he was also able to do it in this lap, so that does bode well that people are able to overtake down into turn 1. It looks like you can set that up out of the last corner, Matty, and then get that move done.
Yeah, it was similar. We saw that at Sepang, where you can use the last corner to try and set up a move down into turn 1. Maybe it's similar because it's such a long straight with a bit of a heavy braking zone. So fingers crossed, because we had some phenomenal overtakes and setups in the first round of the championship a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, we absolutely did. So it looks like this is our gaggle of cars today. We've got sort of 8 cars within 2 seconds of each other. So at the moment, it's early doors, obviously. It's only a couple of minutes in, only on lap 2. But it looks like this might be our battle for today. Phil Lawson, followed by Deeks and the rest of that gang. So Abramovich is alongside Shoke now. Is the 2 Volvos challenging for position. Shoke just winning out there. There's a tight left-hander coming up now. Who's going to have the corner? It looks like a Shoke, but there's Russ Butcher in the background getting the move up the inside. Not showing any quarter at all to Abramovich, but then has got the outside line, and Abramovich keeps the position. But Butcher with an opportunistic look up the inside there, tried to put him under pressure, Matty, but just couldn't quite get it done.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. It's another one of those where there's, no matter where we look, there's going to be some sort of action, and Russ missed out last week. He's clearly come back with with his teeth gritted and hoping to make up on the points that he would have lost by not racing in the last three races.
Yeah, but that has made this lot lose a little bit of touch with this 4 in front, I should say. Sorry, Stu Neal's dropped back a little bit as well, where he's fighting with Poddy Flack. Is Poddy Flack going to get a move done into turn 1? No, and Deeks keeps the position as well. Sorry, Phil Lawson keeps the position from Deeks. Deeks couldn't get that move done 3 laps in a row. But he's there, he's looking, he's putting pressure on Phil as he looks to get that last podium position. Poddy Flack's still putting pressure on Stu Neal. But of course, these guys got to keep it reasonably clean because they are teammates in the Constructors' Championship. So it is important that they don't do anything silly.
Absolutely. If you potentially jump to Abramovich, it looks like he's having a right old ding dong with Russ here. He has just lost that spot to Shoke, I believe, and now he's under pressure from Russ Butcher. Like I say, he's certainly come back with gritted teeth, looking to make up some spots there in the middle of the pack. Yeah,
so Shoke is through. These guys 2 seconds off Poddy Flack now due to their own battling, but he's through. And then Abramovich now is ahead of Russ Butcher, but Russ has really been putting pressure on him all the way through the race so far. Almost a bit of contact there. They're so close through there. Unbelievable stuff, but Russ really putting pressure on now. And you can see how close Papden is behind them as well. This is absolutely crazy racing again, just as we got used to last week. Abramovich putting pressure on Shoke, but you can see Russ trying to look up the inside there. He's just putting pressure on him. He knows he can't get that move done around the outside, but it's just trying to put the driver in front of Abramovich offline and put him off a little bit to get a run down this long straight, but it didn't quite come off for him on that occasion. Digging once again, got really close with Lawson. Papadin has joined that fight with Butcher as well. Abramovich proper close now, as we see. Sorry, someone's. Oh yeah, Shoke must have made a mistake. Look, he's lost 3 positions. We missed that. Apologies. But yeah, Shoke must have made a mistake because he's dropped a couple of positions now, and he's down to 10th. So not sure what happened there, but that is bad times for Shoke. So
could have been a slowdown, that.
Yeah, potentially that could well be the case. Good thinking, my learned colleague, and welcome back. Hopefully your internet will not crap the bed again. So
if it does, just a caveat. Sorry, I'll pause.
No. So I was just going to say we got somebody off track there, and that was Phil Lawson. He just went super wide, and that's allowed Deeks through, and Deeks now up into 3rd position. So absolutely brilliant. Deeks putting the pressure on, and that shows that the pressure does absolutely work at times. So back to this battle with Russ Butcher, keeping an eye on Polyvac Studio as well, as that's proper close. There's a couple of battles all the way through here, but these four guys, sorry, really close together now. Lap after lap after lap. Yeah, we're just getting the same again, really, aren't we? Like, it's just more and more action.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to keep an eye on one screen where I'm seeing the action that we're all seeing, and then I'm trying to keep an eye on the other screen with all of the data, seeing where the gaps are at. But it's really difficult to keep an eye on. One thing I have noticed, and I'm not sure you guys would hopefully be able to tell me if there's damage within the sim. Andy Foster looks like he's really struggling at the back of the pack after going off with Rob South. I don't know if he has damage, but he's sitting 5-6 seconds behind Rob South now, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
The answer is yes. Yes, you can get suspension damage and aero damage.
And engine damage if you over-rev.
Yeah, and engine, yeah.
There we go then. I should suspect that there's some sort of damage on that Honda of Andy Foster at the back, and unfortunately it looks like he's going to struggle through the rest of the race.
Yeah, that may well be the case. So we're just back with Russ. I'm just going to go on board with this Polyvac battle now. He's jumped out, gone to the inside. Has he managed to get a run down into turn 1? He's later on the brakes, and Polyvac up into 5th. And that has been the favoured move of our drivers so far, that move down into turn 1. That's the 3rd time we've seen that. Textbook stuff, Aaron. PDF, I should say. I think he's gone again, is he?
He has, I think. I think he's lost his connection yet again. Right. It's going to be a difficult night. He did say he's going to pop on with his phone if it keeps going, so hopefully he can be back with us shortly.
Okay, I like you said. Textbook move, Matty.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's quite clearly a favourite with the drivers tonight. Whether it's something that they've spoken amongst themselves within the teams, I don't know. But yeah, setting up through that last corner, trying to get a drive down that long straight into turn 1, getting on the brakes and slinging it up the inside, just like we're seeing Russ.
Trying to do
Not
with
sure
Nick Papadem there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a bit of door-to-door, but great side-by-side action. But yes, we've got saying, me and Aaron, because textbook is a bit 1980s, so we say that's a PDF move. So just FYI, if I ever say that's a PDF move, that's what I mean.
Wonderful. It's good. It's good to be within that little private zone.
Yeah, I mean, nobody uses textbooks anymore, do they? So, Deeks now putting pressure on Georges User, who's 3.5, nearly 4 seconds behind. I'm wondering if he's had a slowdown or if he's got some damage, but Kerbalese are way out in front now. Georges has dropped back, potentially some damage, potentially a slowdown penalty, not sure. But Deeks putting pressure and looking to get second position. He moves to the inside. He's looking to make a move as they go down towards the braking zone. He's going to be on the outside of this corner.
A little bit of a touch there on the rear quarter.
Yeah. There's always a little bit in this league. But he couldn't quite get it done there. But I'm wondering if there is some damage, whether he's going to have the speed delta down this straight to get that move done. But Deeks looking to get past Georges User. Georges User on the inside. Deeks on the outside as they come down towards turn 1. Who's going to be better on the brakes here to get this done? He squeezes him out wide, forces him to brake a bit earlier, and keeps that position. So he's not giving up, whether he has got damage or has had a slowdown penalty, whatever it might be. I think damage, because that car looks slow to me, Matty.
It's quite possibly the case. I'm just having a look, and Deeks was half a second quicker than Shaw's last lap round. I didn't quite catch it the lap before that when he seemed to catch up to him so much. But yeah, half a second a lap quicker. It makes it sound like it's only going to be a matter of time until he gets past him. But as you know, Shaw's is no push around. It's not going to be passed easily.
He's not. That is very true. But they are 5.5 seconds behind the leader now. So they've lost a second just in the last lap. Even more than that now, even more time. I think he might have some sort of suspension damage from one of the big curbs perhaps, or something of the sort, because he was on his own really, so I can't see how else he would have picked up damage. I can't see anything visibly wrong, which is what making me think it might well be the suspension. But Deeks putting pressure on George Souza, looking to get that second position. I'm trying to see if the car's crabbing. It does sometimes when coming out the corner look like it's crabbing just a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on it. But he's proper driving defensive. But look how close all these guys are getting now while Deeks battles away. Deeks needs to get this done and try and get this position so he has the opportunity to get away while George defends to the guys from behind. Otherwise, this could get really messy really, really fast. So all that work Deeks has put in could well come undone here. We will see. Andy Foster has made that time back at the back of the grid, so I'm wondering whether he made a mistake because he's only 2.5 seconds behind now. Georges running a little bit wide there. Deeks looking for the move up the inside. He gets it done, but Georges is going to have the inside for the next corner as Deeks got enough traction to hold it around the outside and get across the start-finish line. He has, and Deeks is up into second.
There we go. He doesn't need turn one, does he? He had that done through the last lap, through that last corner, sorry. And we'll see if he can pull away. I'm looking at the fastest laps so far in the race, and Deeks is about 4 tenths quicker than Shaw. So maybe it's the weight, maybe it's ruined his tyres early in the race while he was trying to chase down Curb Elijah.
Yeah,
Curb Elijah at the minute is absolutely flying. He is a second a lap quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. He is flying away. Cheers for that data. That's really, really useful to know how much faster he is. That is interesting. You can see these guys, losing a second and a half while they've been battling just on that last lap alone. But hopefully Deeks now can pull out a little bit of a gap and give himself a bit of breathing space for his own race. But Phil Lawson and Poddy Flack now getting interested in that last podium place. I've barely even noticed the time. It's been, once again, all action. Bradovic really close to Stu Neal, but we are 40 seconds left on the clock. So where is Curb-Elijah? Curb-Elijah's just coming down towards, I think this will probably be the last lap. I can't quite tell if he's this will be the last lap, absolutely. So Curb-Elijah well out in front on his own. Deeks is bringing that gap down now, so interestingly now he's got ahead, he is bringing that gap back down. So can Georges hold on for this last podium place? That is the question that we have in front of us right now. He's clearly got some issue, whether it's damage or tyre wear or something we do not know. What we do know is that he is losing time and losing pace and under pressure on this final lap as he looks to hold on to this final podium position. As Curb-Elijah comes towards the line to take a wonderful win. He had a bit of a nightmare last week. It didn't quite go for him. But there he takes race 1 victory for round 7 of the TCSRL. Deeks takes second, Georges Souza holds on to third, Phil Lawson 4th, Poddy Flack in 5th, Stu Neal in 6th, Obradovic in 7th, Russ Butcher made up 2 places, finishes in 8th, Shoke in 9th, Papadim in 10th, Manuel Alves in 11th, Carl Smith in 12th, Rob South in 13th. Not bad in the end considering he was one of the ones who went off on that first lap. Derek Neal in 14th, Campion in 15th, Elwood 16th, and Foster in 17th position. Well, there we go.
One thing that went unnoticed actually, because there was so much going on at the front, that Rob South, who was 16th, managed to fight his way back through a few spots there and come back up to gain a few spots there. So fair play to Rob.
Yeah, that is very true. So well picked up. Curb-Elijah with the fastest lap as well. That's been the race winner. Significantly faster than anyone else on the track today. And fair play to him. So now we're going to bring up our wonderful Wheel of Doom, which has stopped working for some reason. So many drivers do we have? 17 drivers, so 9 down to 17 is here ready to do our spinny spin. So if I can ask one of you to post this in the chat.
I can absolutely do that.
Spin it. So we're getting ready to spin the wheel. I need to shuffle the numbers. There we go. And then I'm going to spin the wheel and we're going to see what our reverse grid for race 3 is going to look like. So I'm getting ready to spin the wheel, and I have spun the wheel. So the wheel is spinning. You can see that. Why am I telling you?
Spinny spins.
Oh, it's so
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
oh, it was
yes.
close, but it is 17. We have a winner. Number 17 is the reverse grid. So it's a full reverse grid again. Absolutely fantastic. There's your result there. Number 17, a full reverse grid. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
See, we absolutely love that. The drivers will hate that for the guys that are, especially the likes of Curb Elijah, those guys that are running that much quicker. They're not going to be overly happy starting at the back of the grid. But patience is a virtue, and hopefully we can get some fantastic racing.
Absolutely. It's just about picking up as many points as possible, as we've said before, but it should lead to some great entertainment. But, that said, we had great entertainment in that race. So there was absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. So we've got a couple of replays to review, so let's have a quick look at those. Aaron, you back with us? I'll take that as a no. I thought I could see him in there, but...
Yeah, he's there, but I'm not sure if there's a microphone issue.
Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. So, yeah, just a couple of replays to look at. So, first of all, we have this one. So, which is the start. Obviously, always great to review the start, which will see that move, I think, from Deeks down into turn 1. So it was a great start from Curb Elijah. Straight off the bat, he was so much quicker than his colleague off the start. And you just see Deeks there much later on the brakes in the background. But then Phil Lawson coming back around the inside. And he was really lucky, actually, to keep Deeks, to keep those Alphas behind, because they looked super quick and dangerous from that position. That is for sure. So next replay we have for us is again Deeks battling away with the Alphas. Sorry, I can't get my words out today. And then you see the Alpha of Poddy Flack in the background trying to fight with Stu Neal. Proper door-to-door stuff, and I think Stu Neal is going to make a move. No, sorry. Oh, sorry. No, that was Deeks making the move into turn 1. Sorry, I'm confusing myself here. There's too many replays. Unfortunately, it doesn't label the replay, so I just got to guess.
Yes.
This was Ruts, Butcher, and Abradovich having a good old ding dong, and I think we will eventually see Russ trying to go around the outside. That was where Lawson made the mistake, went really wide, and Deeks got that position to get himself up into third, and in the end, second, because he gained that other position from George User. In the end, nothing really matters.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate, yeah.
Oh my god, what an effort that has been.
So, yeah, this was Poddy Flack looking for a move on Stu Neal down into turn 1. Later on the brakes, and he did what I'm calling a Craig Deeks, because Deeks did it about 3 times in that race. Brilliant stuff. And that was the favoured point of move, Matty, really, wasn't it, down into that turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Deeks showed us perfectly how to do it. He had a great race. He clearly had it covered quite nicely, making that move down into turn 1, and I'm sure they'll all be making note of that overtaking opportunity, both to attack and defend, should they be the ones that are under a little bit of pressure.
Absolutely. We just saw the Russ Butcher side-by-side battle there with Nick Papdim. That was also super entertaining to watch. But there we go. So that's race 1 done. We've got a super exciting reverse grid to look forward to in race 3, but before we get to that, we've got race 2. So the starting grid for race 2 will be wherever they finished in race 1. But the people made mistakes, people went off track, all sorts. So it's not to say, Aaron, that the finishing positions for race 1 are just going to be repeated in race 2.
No, definitely not. Deeks seem to show really, really good pace. I'm interested to see if he can even threaten Bojan, but by the looks of it and from what Matty was saying, see, I could listen to a lot of what you said. You just couldn't hear me in race 1. if V's a second a lap faster than everyone else, it sounds like he's going to have it pretty boxed off. But that midfield pack is really tight, and BMW gets a good start. Could be an underdog night for Russ Butcher. There's nothing in it between everyone.
Exactly that. I mean, it's so close. I mean, I'm glad of it. I know we've kind of said it before, but I'm just so glad because we really didn't know what to expect from these Super Touring. We know other leagues have tried them and they've said one particular car is a walkover and the rest are just absolutely off the pace. We're not seeing that. I mean, I know the Alphas are all towards the front, but with respect to all the drivers on the grid, also two of the fastest drivers on the grid are in the Alphas, so it isn't, or three of the fastest drivers. So it isn't necessarily all about the car, and we're seeing that. And the Volvo's not far off on pace, and we're starting to see that come to fruition here, I think, mate.
Absolutely. I was just going to point out that Deeks is in the Volvo, ideally just as he joins us in the comms box. And he proves that the Volvo is more than capable of battling it with the Alphas. Like I say, the Alphas do seem to be at the front in the championship, but like you say, it's also some of the fastest guys in the championship that do just happen to be in that car. So I wouldn't put any of the other drivers out of contention, especially with the likes of Deeks, who's just joined us, who had an absolutely fantastic race and got up into P2.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, the other guys have got weight on this. It's not comparing apples with apples, but I felt like I did a reasonably good job.
Absolutely, it was really impressive, really, because seeing you trying to hold off when you were in fourth place, trying to hold off the guys behind. You then managed to pull away a little bit. We think that Phil Lawson made a mistake, and that's how you managed to get past him.
Yeah, he caught the curb at turn 2, and he just lifted onto the curb, and it pushed him left and off the circuit.
Yeah, we caught that at the very last part, so we didn't see it happen, but we see you just managed to get past him, and at that, you were straight after Shaw's, and
I just can't get it off the line. Just can't get it off the line for whatever reason. It's so difficult to get off the line.
Yeah, obviously you're in the Volvo. I don't know if you've driven any of the other cars. Like, what are the main characteristics of the car that you're struggling with, or that you love about that car in particular? I don't have any insight into driving that car, so.
Yeah, I think it's not quite as powerful as the Alpha, but it turns in really well. So in the fast corners where you want to sort of turn in a little bit tighter than they do, it sort of has. I think it has a bit of the edge.
Cracking. I mean, that shows, I guess, through that corner you made a couple of moves down into turn 1, so having that ability to turn in is going to help you taking that move down into turn 1 for you. So, like I said before, congratulations, hell of a race, and I'll hand over to one of the other guys.
I just want to say quickly, well done, Aaron, because you picked that up on an onboard lap, didn't you? The fact that the Volvo was taking the corners tighter than Poddy was able to. But anyway, I'll let you ask your question.
Thank you.
It's almost like he knows what he's talking about. It's bizarre.
Any questions you've got for Craig? He's gone. He's gone. Never mind. He's gone.
Didn't want to talk to you.
I was going to say I might not be the right guy. I missed too much of the race, I think.
I wouldn't want to talk to you either, mate. It's fine. All good. Right. Just a couple of minutes left of the practice session while we wait to go back into race 2. So, yeah, I guess my big surprise, really, my big talking point from that race is how much George dropped off the pace. Now, we don't know whether there was damage, but we've never seen him finish, even with ballast, 6.5, 7 seconds behind the driver. He's usually maybe unable to overtake and really put the pressure on. But to see him 6 seconds back, that says to me there must have been something with the car. But that's what I'm looking for in this next race, really, is how that unfolds, because that car didn't quite look right in the second half of the race, and he lost such a dramatic amount of time. It seems to me like there must have been some damage, but I'll be interested to see whether he can come back from that and perhaps take that position back and get back into second, or even win the race. Be interesting to see. But Yeah.
One thing I'm interested with whether, and hopefully if he comes in, we might be able to ask him. I'm wondering whether maybe because just how quick that Bojan was going out the front, maybe he was pushing, and because of that extra weight that he is carrying, maybe he's burnt up his tyres trying to push too hard, trying to stop Bojan Kurbelaja from pulling away too much. Maybe he just burnt out those tyres. I could be wrong, and like you say, he could have caught something and had some damage, but maybe he had a bit of an off race and couldn't look after his tyres quite as well as he has done previously.
Yeah, it could well be. I think that's the thing, is it's so easy to do, especially in new cars when you don't really know them that well. But what will be interesting, like I say, is to see whether, if it is tyre damage, whether he's learned from that, Aaron, or whether if it was something like suspension damage, which can really affect the handling through the corners, whether that will be evident in this race if he makes that progress.
Yeah, well, time will tell. I can't quite see how long we've got left because I am now on an iPhone 15.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, so 2 minutes time we'll know the answer, but you're right. I suspect that there was something wrong with the car. Shaw's user is he's just on it all the time. You just don't. We've never ever seen that in like 6 or 7 seasons of racing with him. That just doesn't happen, does it?
No, it doesn't. And what was evident, it looked like the car was crabbing slightly coming out of corners, just as he was really coming on throttle. So that said to me that there was something slightly wrong with it. But I'm sure we'll get the answer before the end of the night, or if not after the race. But we will see. So yeah, just 90 seconds left to go in this short practice session while the guys take a short break, those that want to, between races 1 and 2, and those that don't want to and want to get a bit more practice in are out on the circuit. So we are just preparing ourselves for that next race. So yeah, pretty much expecting a similar result, but that doesn't mean it's going to finish exactly like it did. We saw that battle in the midfield with Butcher, Bradovich was so close. Deeks and Lawson was close for most of the race. Deeks obviously coming out on top on that occasion. Poddy Flack with his teammate Stu Neal was immensely close. So and they were all close to each other within that as well. So there's a lot of battles. So don't go anywhere, because this is going to be another exciting race, but not as exciting as our race 3, which is coming up, which is a full reverse grid due to the number 17 being drawn. We have 17 drivers, number 17 was drawn, the entire grid will be reversed. So looks like we're in for an exciting one, as my dog has just nosed me in the leg. She wants something, but she can wait until later on. So practice just about to finish. We'll head out of the studio and away from our ugly mugs and back over to the race, ready for this next race. So I'm looking forward to this one. For a longer track, I think, Matty, the racing ended up being a lot closer than perhaps we thought it would be in that race.
I had my mic muted. I do apologise. Yeah, absolutely. We were wondering whether it'd be a bit more spaced out after having a race like Brands Hatch to this, but there's some fantastic racing in, like you say, in that midfield with that pack, and I'm intrigued whether Rob South can join onto the back of them after making those positions up, after dropping all the way down to the back after a first lap incident with Andy Foster. So I'm very intrigued as to whether he can join that battle and add to it and give us plenty more entertainment.
Yeah, well, he's certainly been on the pace of that sort of 8th, 9th, 10th through the season so far. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Anything particular to watch out for, you think, in this race, Aaron, in terms of drivers or people coming through, or anything specific?
Yeah, I am watching out for Craig Deeks. I think if he gets half a chance, he's going to have a go at Bojan. It seems to be like it says, the Alpha's just kind of at the edge. So, manufacturer championship on the line, just send it. Just send it, Deeks.
Yeah, I mean, he, like I say, when he was battling with George User, he was actually, I think, in the end, 6.4 seconds behind him. But before the end of the race, that was down to low 5. So he was able to close that gap, obviously his tyres were in better condition with him not having ballast, etc., etc. So, yeah, be interested to see what he can do. Absolutely, I'm with you on that one. So, just a couple of moments now before we get into race 2. They're just forming up, and then we'll get the grid going, and we will be away for race 2. So, I'm just really excited to see that battle now with, assuming Georges did have damage, that battle with him behind Deeks and then Deeks attacking Bojan and having obviously tyres that'll be fresher through the race without the ballast. That is going to be a really, really interesting three-way battle for the lead for me. And the server's crashed. So it will be.
It's not been a good night for internet, has it?
But not yet. No, it's not. That's bad. So I'm assuming that one of the settings was wrong, and they've had to turn it off and reset it, or it's completely crashed, which is just as likely, because Race Room is rather glitchy at the best of times, unfortunately for us. So we'll wait for it to come back up, assuming it does. We do have instances where it just doesn't come back at all, but we will see.
Oh yeah, I have information. I've got an insider guy. Just people in the Discord. It's being restarted as we speak, so fingers crossed. It should now be back up again. Is the update that I've just got.
Okie dokie. I'll press the old refresh button, and true, there it is. Just giving people 3 minutes to get in, and away we go.
On that bombshell, I'm just going to very quickly dip out for a second. I'll be back shortly.
No trouble at all. We'll all just take a quick comfort break while we are waiting for this race to get underway. Just a couple more minutes and we'll be underway. So we'll be back with you in just a minute or so. Okay, we are back. Just a few seconds left of this practice session before we hopefully get back into the race for race 2. Sorry about the problems. These servers can be quite temperamental, but we will bring the racing to you as soon as we are able. So just making sure all the drivers are in. According to my software, we are missing one driver. I can't off the top of my head see who that is.
It's you, Mike. They're missing you.
My racing days are far over, unfortunately. But yeah, I can't quite see who it is. Who's missing? But somebody's missing because there's only 16 in there. Oh, 17th has just popped in. It was Manuel Alves. There we go. He just made it in time. Fantastic. Great. We've got a full field of drivers. So we're just waiting for the session to switch over.
Love that there's 5 Portaloos there in the paddock. I wonder if anyone any of our drivers use them before race 2?
Needs must and all that.
Get some of that extra ballast out.
Absolutely. Don't carry any more weight than you need to.
Exactly.
There we go. It's finally moved on. We're okay. I was worried we were going to have another crash there, but it is moving on, and we are in the warm-up session now, which is just a quick minute between the between races, just to make sure that everything goes smoothly and all the drivers are able to load in time for the race. So that will be coming up in just a moment, and then we'll get underway with race 2. So running out of filler now, because you know, we've had to do a lot of talking, but yeah, we will get there. I'll be back to the action any moment now. So it'll be those flashing red lights at the front of the grid. So we are here as usual to entertain you, your comms team, myself, Matty and Aaron. Glad to be here as always. Something we really enjoy doing. We don't even charge any money. We do it for free. That's how much we enjoy it. So
it always makes me laugh on that picture, just how smug I look, and I have no idea why.
Just a natural smugness.
Some people might call it confidence. Some people might call it cockiness. Some people might just think I'm a tool. But here I am.
All of the above.
Well, yeah, true.
Why can't you be
That
all
is very
three?
true. But here I am for your audio pleasure during the race.
Absolutely. Right, we're almost there, folks. Apologies for this. It appears we're having a few glitches with the service tonight, but we are moving as fast as we can.
Gravel's looking freshly red.
Freshly,
Yes.
freshly dragged with a rake.
The marshals have had plenty of time with the multiple practice sessions.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
So here we go. The lights are flashing red. In a moment they'll go out and it will be foot flat to the floor. There we go, foot flat to the floor, and away we go down to the first corner. Another really good start by Kerbalija. Deeks with a decent start as well, but George User with a slightly better start than Deeks. And looks like he's looking to put pressure on Deeks, but Deeks has got the inside line going into turn 1. Can Deeks hold on to it? I think he does. He does just hold on to it, and he keeps the position, goes a little bit deep. But so does User, and that gives Phil Lawson a bit of a run. He's got the outside line, as does Pontyclack and Stu Neal, as they battle away down now in towards the heartbreaker zone, and he just keeps the position. Not a heartbreaker zone, I was on the wrong part of the track in my head. But George User is down already into 4th, so the other Volvo of Phil Lawson overtakes him, and now he's under pressure from his teammate Poddy Flack, who got that position from Stu Neal. So great racing in the opening exchanges there from these guys.
I may have ruined Southie's race commentator's curse. I was very interested on whether he can fight forward and get involved in that midfield pack. And he's in fact done the opposite and lost 3 places and gone backwards.
He has done that indeed, but it happens, and there's a long old race to go yet. So Carl Smith putting pressure on Shoki at the moment. Pretty much started, so is in the position where he started, which is unusual for that Audi, which is normally lightning off the line. Shoki having a bit of a bad start. He's down 2 positions in 11th. Manuel Alves ahead of him, as they all follow around pretty much in a line on this opening lap. People looking to make moves where they can, but also not looking to get themselves absolutely damaged and out of the race already on the first lap. But look at that gap. Kerbalija has already 1.3 seconds, and we're only on lap 1. Unbelievable start from him. Kerbalija from Lawson, Deacon from Lawson, from User, from Poddy Flack, super close behind. And again, it's shaping up to be one heck of a battle between these guys. Russ Butcher behind Stu Neal, under pressure from Obradovic. Butcher in the unfavoured BMW, but looking to do something a little bit different to the other drivers, and fair play to him for that. Carl Smith putting pressure on Joki again. Joki not looking like he has the pace today. Carl Smith moves to the outside, looking to try and make a move. Is he going to cut back to the inside? Doesn't look like he's got the pace to do that, and he stays behind. Obradovic once again putting pressure on Butcher, but Butcher also looking to put pressure. Obradovic looks for the inside. Oh, he just gives him a little bit of a tap there, and through he goes. Up into 7th, but he's lost the position again as he's on the inside now, but Papadim getting involved as well. We got a three-way battle here for 7th position, and who's later on the brakes? Russ Butcher manages to be later on the brakes, gets ahead of the Volvo, but Nick Papadim has mugged the two of them. What do you make of that, Aaron?
I hope you've mashed that replay button. That was brilliant. That was a classic touring car manoeuvre of, well, you're all going for it and you don't even know I'm here. And Papadim has come out the victor.
Absolutely brilliant racing, mate.
Oh, fantastic. And it shows with Russ Butcher. I remember from the first week at and now I now forget the Sepang, apologies. He did come in, he did tell us in that BMW he is more confident on the brakes. He can get on that brake a little bit later than the rest of the drivers. Quite clearly that's translated across to this track too, and that car's feeling good in the braking zone and he's making full use of it.
Absolutely. The question now is, can he move further forward and get that position back off Papadim, because effectively he got the position he wanted, but Papadim mugged the two of them, as I said. So let's see how he gets on. Rob South and excuse me, Bill Campion having a bit of a battle here. Rob South going through the S's and gets the move done around the outside. Brilliant, like a trailer park girl, exactly what we like to see. George User still putting pressure on Lawson. Lawson dropped a little bit back off Deeks, and Deeks still a second and a half back off Curb Leisure, but that gap has steadied a little bit now on this second lap. So Deeks will just want to do what he did in race 1, which is keep his tyres in a good state and have the opportunity to attack later on. George User looking to put pressure, but he just doesn't have enough of a speed differential to get past him. Poddy Flack putting proper pressure on George now. And he gets a really good run out of that turn one. Oh, there's contact! There's contact! George makes contact with Phil Lawson, who goes flying around. Phil Lawson is, I think, terminally damaged. And there he is, just sat at the side of the road. No, he's managed to get it going again. It looks like he's managed to get it going again. He did flash off the screen for a moment. It looked like he was terminally damaged, but it looks like he's okay now. Poddy ran a little bit wide there, but he is okay still, putting pressure on George User. Be interesting to see what happened there with that accident, because we flashed to it, but it was difficult from that angle to see how that accident happened. But did you pick up anything, Matty, with the data that I couldn't see?
Fortunately not, no. I feel like it was just going to be a bit of a racing incident maybe, and they just caught each other. Potentially got caught in the back quarter panel, but there's nothing I could see on the data, unfortunately.
Unusual place though, Aaron, to actually make contact. I mean, it's not something we normally see there.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just like a wheel arch to wheel arch glitch, you know. Sometimes it happens in race room, you just kind of get kicked off just by the slightest of touch.
Yeah, very true. Could possibly be that. That is a very, very good point. What that means now is that Jules is in 3rd, Poddy Flack is in 4th, Stu Neal is in 5th, and they are battling for that final podium position. 3 Alfa Romeos all battling with each other. And I know these guys well enough to know that they won't exactly want to take each other out, obviously being teammates, but they're also not going to take it easy on each other. We'll absolutely be fighting for every possible position, because that is just what we do in touring cars. Obradovic putting pressure on Butcher still, but unable to get past. Butcher still in touching distance of Nick Papadim, but other than that, unable to really make a move. But is Obradovic going to make a move here down into turn 1? Has he got the inside line? And you can see again there, as Matty alluded to, Butcher more confident on the brakes, able to brake later and able to make his way through, still in that position of 7th. So very, very good running from him. Rob South is trying to make up for those early positions lost, and he's in 14th now and getting closer and closer to Elwood. Elwood battling away with Derek Neal here for 12th and 13th place. the two Vauxhall Vectras fighting away with each other. Possibly the most uninspiring car ever created by any manufacturer ever, but it looks good as a race car.
There'll be plenty of people who are against that Vauxhall slander, and I think one of them is our CEO, mate.
It's not a
I was
Vauxhall.
just about to ask if you've got a problem with Vauxhalls. I've just bought one myself.
I mean, you can't deny that the Vectra was one of the worst cars ever created. It was absolutely dreadful. It was created by a man with no imagination. But I'm not against Vauxhall as a brand, but that car was awful.
I did just own a Vectra, to be fair, and it was an absolute clunky tank.
As bad as an Insignia?
Well, I can't say I've driven one, actually, to be fair.
They drive pretty well, but they just don't have the same character as an absolute diesel train Vectra.
I think the Vectra is quite possibly one of the biggest cars I've driven. It just felt huge.
Yeah,
We're just not talking about the racing at this point, are
no, we're not, but it's still, you've got to digress now and again and talk nonsense, otherwise what's the point? But this race between all of these alphas is still absolutely hot. So Poddy Flacco has got past Georges and is up into third. So sorry, that has happened while we were looking at another battle, but Poddy Flacco has got past Georges. So Georges still not got the pace to go forward. So interesting, it must be the ballast affecting the car on this track, Aaron. Which has led to this happening. So he clearly does not have the pace to challenge for the win.
Absolutely, but obviously Bojan is taking plenty of points away from Shaw's. I'm sure it'll be swings and roundabouts throughout the course of the season. It's just happened to be that for whatever reason Shaw's have really struggled with Max Ballast here.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's, as Aaron alluded to there, Matty, it's what we need to see in there to make the championship interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, it's the whole purpose of having that extra weight in the cars. It gives us this, where you look at a driver like Shaw's, who undoubtedly is an absolutely incredibly talented driver, and to see him down in fourth struggling to keep the pace is refreshing, and it keeps it entertaining because you get overtakes that you just don't expect.
Absolutely. Russ has had an incident because he's dropped 4 positions and is now down in 12th. So again, sorry we've missed that while looking at other battles, but yeah, clearly an incident there for Russ, who finds himself down in 12th place now and having to make those positions back up. But that means Rob South is up to 11th, so he's pretty much fulfilling what you said, Matty, and making up some positions and now able to challenge for the top 10.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because at the start of the race he dropped backwards again. I'm not sure if there was any kind of contact like there was in race 1. Potentially, we'll get the opportunity to ask him. But he's dropped down and then made it back up again. So maybe he's just really struggling on lap 1 to keep it where he wants it.
Potentially that is the case. So Poddy now having to go into defensive mode. Joe's not done with him yet and able to take a much tighter line through there, even with the ballast. And that has given him a great run now as they head down the main straight, down towards turn 1. We've seen some moves down into turn 1 already. Is he going to get that done? Is he going to be late enough on the brakes to get ahead of Poddy Flack, who does tend to have the widest car in the world and is very difficult to overtake? And he's proving that again here for those 4 alphas, one after the other, all battling away here. We've not really talked about Kerblija at all this evening, despite him being on the verge of a double victory, but he's just been so dominant that we've not really had reason to go to him. But he is there and he is driving fantastically well, and credit to him for that. Deeks 3 seconds back now in second position, but that'll be 2 seconds for Deeks, barring any commentator's curse or disasters, so fair play to him. But this is the battle now for the final podium position. 4 teammates, all in Alfa Romeo, all battling away for this final podium. Poddy Flack, followed by Georges, followed by Nick Papadem, followed by Stu Neal. Nick Papadem has made 5 positions in this race. That is absolutely impressive. Fair play to him. But it's Poddy Flack who has that final podium position at the moment. And based on what we know about Poddy's driving style, particularly his defensive driving style, Aaron, you wouldn't bet against him finishing exactly where he is.
No, And the good thing as well is with Shaw's carrying his ballast, it's going to be really difficult for him to slipstream past. Even we see him following really close here, it's just going to have to be an absolute banzai move to get past Poddy, and I don't think Shaw's will do it.
What do you do, Matty, when you've got a driver like this who's very good at defending, placing his car on the right part of the track? That means you can't really go on the inside, go on the outside. You just got to follow them through. Like, what kind of tactics can drivers deploy to try and get an advantage over that type of defensive driver, i.e., Alan Davis?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say part of this question feels a little bit targeted, as I found myself behind the Alan Davis driving GTs, and he is a plug, and my tactic tended to be unintentionally hit him, and then he'll get out of the way. Unfortunately, that happened on more than one occasion.
Yeah, we're not encouraging our drivers to do that, by the way.
No, absolutely not. I just want to clarify that one 100%. Do you know what? It's patience is the biggest thing, because you will obviously now getting down. It's about a minute and a half left of the race. We're getting right down to the nitty gritty of it, and you are eventually going to start to lose that patience. But you just need to keep your cool, because the worst thing you want to do, especially when it's a teammate like it was with myself and Alan, is cause them to spin out or take any kind of damage. And it's, for me personally, it's better to keep that patience and stay behind cleanly than get a dirty overtake by giving them a nudge. So it's difficult to do. Sorry, just very aware of that Honda battling past at the back, Rob South, making up yet more positions in this race.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant move.
Double check that makes it 2, but that's from his starting position. He actually dropped down to 16th, so
he did.
That's 5 spots from where he was at.
Absolutely, that is true, and up he goes. I was actually watching Russ, because it looked like Russ was losing a lot of time to the car in front. I wondered whether he had some damage, but that one side of the car is rather battered, you can see there, so I'm wondering if he has a little bit of damage. And it does look a little bit twitchy through some of the corners, Aaron. You can just see him having to sort of feed the steering wheel and then sort of grab it again as it sort of twitches through the corners.
Yeah, that could be a suspension issue. That could be the car grabbing slightly and having to fix it under the brakes.
Yeah, indeed. So we are just seconds away from the end of this race now, and Kurbelija is about to go into the last few corners and take his second victory of the night for what is round 8. Sorry, race 8 and round 3. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. But there he goes across the line. Kurbelija with a victory, and Deeks with another fantastic second. And then just a load of cars. Poddy Flack followed by George User, followed by Nick Papadin, followed by Stu Neal. They ended up finishing where they were. Bogi Bradovic in 7th place, Manuel Alves in 8th. Great for him, 3 positions made as well in that Volvo. Shoki in 9th, and Russ Butcher in the end in 10th. So a bit disappointing for him, I'm sure, but we'd be interested to see if that damage that he's carrying there is from some sort of incident, because he did drop quite a few positions as somebody went flying off in the background there. But that rounds out our top 10, and you got Rob South in 11th. He did make up the positions we suggested he might. Smith, followed by Elwood, Foster, Neal, Campion and Lawson, who finished in last place after that big contact with George User in early on in the race. I think it was lap 2 or 3. So be interesting to speak to them and see what happened there. But what we will do is we will pop to the Sky Pad and see if we can have a look at the replays, because I'm hoping that we've caught some of those.
Whilst you're having a quick look at that, Mike, I will point out that yet again, Bojan Kurbelija out the front, absolutely smashing it. 9, like just shy of a second, 9/10 faster on the fastest lap, and his average lap, not including Deeks, who got quicker and quicker through that race. It was close to a second a lap on average, quicker than anybody else on that track.
Yeah, that's immense, and a great call out. So just looking at some of the replays here, so this was the battle between Jaws and Poddy. you see them close there. That was the first time they went over, and that's the same hill where they make contact, which I think I did get a replay of, but we will grab that as soon as we get chance. Sorry, I'm losing myself here. Right, this one's next. Sorry, I forgot to delete last week's replays, so I've got like 100 videos. So this is Phil Lawson battling away again. I wonder if this is the one where Jaws makes the contact. No. No, I'm wondering if it's the next one then, because it can't be far. Oh no, this is still lap 1, so it was definitely lap 2 or 3, I think, wasn't it? But this just showed the close racing between them on that first lap. So yeah, so this one next. So yeah, Phil Lawson's still in front at the moment, so I think this might be it. We're about to see.
No, this was the 3 wide. Papa Damon, Butcher, and
yeah, with his late braking.
It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, well spotted, gentlemen. This is why I keep you around. And then we've got this one, which
not just pretty faces.
Must be the one I was thinking of.
Oh, we just missed it.
I thought it grabbed it, but it must.
Yeah, I do remember watching it live. You could see him spin more than him just being
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that must be after I came back to it then, which is strange. I'm wondering. I've got another one here. Let me just double check what this one is. Yeah, no, he's already gone round at that point.
I was going to say, he's it down at the back.
This was the Rob South.
Ah, yes.
Down into the next corner. Fantastic move from Rob. And he got that move done. But yeah, I'm wondering if it might just be on the end of the previous one. So we'll just watch it one more time just to double check whether it's on the end of this one maybe. Because we definitely had it, and I definitely pressed the replay button, unless it just didn't register. So I'm wondering whether the Lawson contact is on the end of this replay. No, it's not, is it? No, that's a shame. Okay. Oh well, we didn't catch it. I did press it, but whether it must not have registered correctly. So apologies for that.
Unfortunately, these things happen. It can't be helped. We certainly don't have the same technology that they do on Formula 1 with Sky Sports.
No, exactly that, yeah.
Hence why it's called the Sky pad.
Yes, exactly.
Don't quite have the budget.
No.
Not quite. The budget of 0 kind of hinders a little bit.
No budget, no technology, no capability, no intelligence. Yeah, we're lacking in a few areas, really. But never mind, we persevere nonetheless. But yeah, I'm loving being able to go back and watch these replays, because it does just give us that bit of reflection and things we forgot, even though I keep forgetting what each replay is for. But all it comes up, there's a time code, so I haven't really got much to go on. But that said, this is the big one. Aaron, I know you're probably not going to see most of this race, or at least be able to speak. Hopefully you can continue to watch after you have to go with your upcoming curfew. So hopefully you can at least watch the end of it, because I would imagine this is going to be some stellar entertainment with a completely fully reversed grid. All 17 cars in the opposite position to what they finished in race 1. But there was 1 or 2 out of position, because we had a few accidents and stuff. Rob South being one of them. He was a bit further back than he would have been. So there may be some that can really benefit from this, but anyone you're expecting to do particularly well in this race, Matty?
Get my words out might help being a commentator. One thing I'm very much looking forward to is how quick Kerbalizer has been. He's obviously going to be starting right at the very back of the grid. At the minute, we've got 16. I'm not sure which driver hasn't turned up into the server this time round, but as it stands, he's still going to be at the back of the pack, and I'm very intrigued how he's going to be able to make his way through that pack, pushing a second a lap quicker than any of the cars for the majority of the night. It's incredibly impressive, and I'd very much like to see him make some moves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he will be, but as we've said before, patience is key. So can he keep it clean? Because just a reminder, we run incident points. If you hit a car, you get 4 incident points. If a car hits you, you still get 4 incident points. Unfortunately, the game doesn't differentiate between whose fault it is, so you have to be very careful both in attack and defense to avoid contact. And if you break the limit, which for this league in race 3 I believe is 30 points, then you get disqualified altogether and you get no points, which is no good to anyone. So you have got to keep it clean. You have got to get through without making contact. So the 30 points, it allows for other people hitting you, and you exiting the track, you get a point if you exceed track limits and so on. So it accounts for that, but it means that you have to be careful with your overtakes, with your moves. So let's see how they get on. Were you always a lover or a hater of Race 3, Aaron? I always loved them because it was just an unknown entity and an opportunity. But I know some of the fast guys don't like them because they don't like battling with the slower guys. But what were your thoughts on a Race 3?
I loved it. I think our collective strength was on the brakes in the Honda. That Honda could just stop so well, and that suits like a race 3 race so much. Like, I had so much confidence in just doing a Daniel Ricciardo dive bomb and getting it stopped and turned in. I loved it. I loved race 3. As a proper avid Formula 1 fan, when I remember the first time we did anything like this, I was like, oh my God, like, this is brilliant, it's carnage. And you just see people would like fire off in front of you and you sneak through. And I think it's the best race. It's the best race out of all of them. And it is in touring cars in real life. It always has been. I used to be a big fan. And I know that you can come off worse for wear, and that's just part of the parcel. That's just race 3. You're not going to have the perfect race 3 every single season. It was just it did kind of feel like a lottery, but I loved it. It was just such an unknown, and I always seem to do okay in a race 3.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you always look back more fondly on it if it's something you're successful in. But I mean, it's not something I was always successful in. In fact, the opposite. But I just always found it was an unknown, and that's what keeps it interesting for me. And that's what makes it worthwhile, because if you just know the result every week, then what's the point? And yes, it is only sim racing. It is only a game, in effect. Although it's not a game, it is a sim. But we do take it seriously. We do practice hard, and we do work at it, and that's why I'm now in the comms box, because I haven't got the time or the patience to do the practicing bit. But still, we digress. So just a couple of minutes left of practice before we get to this fantastic full 17-car reverse grid. Really, really excited about this. Really looking forward to it. I'm really interested to see the outcome. The outcome of this one. I'm not really generally one to predict, but I can see Poddy Flat coming off well in this one. He's at good pace. He hasn't got a lot of ballast, and I think because he's in the sort of the middle of the pack, if he gets a bit of carnage in front of him, he could well get a podium out of it. So I'm going to go for Poddy on the podium as a little prediction. Not that I do predictions very often. I tell you what we'll have to bring back as well is the old driver of the race. So maybe from next week I'll get you guys to name your drivers of the race for each race, just for a bit of fun.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I'll be happy with that. I can tell you from race 1, I think it would have been Deeks for me tonight. I know we're not doing it now, but I'll give him a shout out just for that one, because he was very impressive in the race 1.
We got a minute, so why not? Yeah, chuck it out there. So we've got Deeks for race 1. Anybody from race 2 that stands out for you, Aaron?
I don't want to be that guy and just say Bojan, but he's been flawless, hasn't he? And I feel like it'd be wrong not to give him one of the races. So I'll give Bojan race 2.
I think we probably need 2 categories really, which is the best driver, if you like, and the best drive. So that would be Bojan,
yes,
and then you kind of need
yes.
the best outperforming expectations, I guess. So if somebody from the back of the grid suddenly finishes in 6th, or gets a podium or whatever, then we can. So perhaps we can have 2 categories. So you sort of the best drive and the best unexpected drive, or something like that. So we'll come up with something. We'll have a little. We'll chat on the WhatsApp this week, and we'll come up with something more permanent for next week. But yeah, just think that'll be interesting as something of a bit of interest. And we don't get to speak about all the drivers, obviously, because there's too much going on, and you can't physically cover 17 drivers, because each one would get 40 seconds of airtime, and then you'd miss all the battles and everything else. So it doesn't make sense to do that. That's not what racing is about. So I'd love to be able to give everyone equal airtime, but that's just not how the cookie crumbles. But what we can do is we can call out those drivers that have had particularly good races over and above their normal and expected finishing positions. Jesus, what is up with this guy's face? Oh, you can't see it, but this the guy in the pits had a completely grey face. He looked like the Silver Surfer in a jumpsuit. Like, he was just in a pit suit. Like, it was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, some of the crowd look a bit flat, don't they?
Right, that's enough of our ugly mugs. I'm just going to switch us over to the race scene. Ready
on
for
that
this?
very sour note from Aaron. I'm going to throw it out there for race 3 that Russ Butcher's going to do well, I think.
Yep.
I'm going to throw that one out there. I think he's had some brilliant racing. He's battled, but he's done well. And the fact that he's good on the brakes, he can be the last of the late breakers. Hopefully that can do him well. And it'll help him stay in front of the likes of Georges, who's obviously struggling with the extra weight. And hopefully keep himself and push through to the front. Absolutely. And I'm not just saying that because he's the boss.
Aaron, I know you'll have to shoot a couple of minutes into the race, so I just want to say thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for your input as always. So I'll say that now while I've got a chance, because you'll be shooting off. Obviously, you can stay on and watch and just listen if you need to, or whatever. But
the volume will be played at 11 directly outside the door.
Right, so the cars are just loading onto the grid now. Drivers finalising their final setup. So really, really looking forward to this. Matty in the data box is going to be keeping an eye on those fast guys from the back to see how much they come through, how many positions they make up. I will be doing my very, very best to just keep on track on what on earth is going on here. But we will do our best between the two of us to get you through this race. So the lights are flashing. Any moment now they're going to go out, and we will go racing. And I thought that was it. So there we go. It's lights out, foot flat to the floor, and away we go down to the first corner. So it's Foster from Elwood, from Bill Campion. Off the start, all had a pretty even start there. Good start from Carl Smith. Expect that in the Audi. Great off the line. And he makes up 2 positions just off the start. Might get another one here as he heads down into the first corner. Later on the brakes, he does. He may even take the lead here. Very late on the brakes. No, I can't quite do it. And it's Campion who keeps that second position, but Carl Smith 3 positions off the start, absolutely fantastic. Campion up into second, but Foster holds on to the lead at the moment. Campion putting him under pressure, but Carl Smith not too far behind in that Audi, and then there's just a swarm of cars all over the place in the background, trying to keep an eye on as much of this as possible as we can. Oh, there's a mistake from Campion. He goes wide, he goes wide, he goes wide. He's going to lose so many positions there. And he is down to 60 feet back in 7th position. And a big shame for him. So Carl Smith now up to seconds. 4 positions gained for him. Elwood only down 1 now. Back up to 3rd. Nick Papadem has gained 4 positions. Russ Butcher gained 5 positions. I believe one of my colleagues may have given him a shout. Oh, big mistake there. Everybody goes wide. Russ Butcher up the inside. Absolutely fantastic. Through he goes. And up into third position, but more mistakes. So everybody going off track.
I will say, Russ is having an absolute fly, but notice, please, that Bojan Kurbalija is already in 4th position from the back of the grid.
He's made
3rd position.
He's made 14 positions. Mostly because everybody else is just busy battling each other, and they keep making mistakes and going wide. And Stu Neal trying to make a move here. He's been through. He goes as Bill Campion goes wide. Stu Neal has made up 8 positions as well. So Stu and Kurbalija have been the big winners here. My shout out today was for Poddy Flack, and he's only made 2 positions. So sorry, Poddy. It looks like I gave you the commentator's curse, but it is still early. We still, believe it or not, are only on lap 1 after all that entertainment. So Russ Butcher
I think we may have missed something, Mike. Sorry to jump in there, but Carl Smith dropped all the way to the back of the grid, currently sitting 2.5 seconds off. I think Manuel Alves has also lost 9 positions and sits right at the back. So unfortunately we've missed something there, but something must have happened to those two during lap 1.
We absolutely have. But we've also missed Foster making a mistake. Butcher and Kurbalija both going through. Kurbalija challenging for the lead, and at the end of the first corner on the start of the second lap, so effectively 1 lap, Kurbalija has taken the lead of this race. I mean, I've seen some come-throughs, the grids for race 3, Aaron, but that is astonishing.
Unbelievable. When was the last time we saw someone do the quadruple, the pole, the fastest lap, and the race win in all 3 races?
I mean, we're not going to curse him too much because it's not over yet, but I mean, to be fair, Matty, like compared to the other race 3s we've had, I mean, they were basically diving out of the way for him, weren't they? Because they were all battling and going off track and making mistakes. So not his most difficult in terms of coming through the field, but still no mean feat.
No, absolutely not. And at the end of the day, he's still got to pick those slots. He's still got to pick those moments. Yes, they're going wide and they're battling, but if you don't get that timing right, you could end up getting yourself caught up in some action. So he's maybe slightly more easy than the previous reverse grids, but he's done well to slot his way through those gaps.
Absolutely, he has. So it's Kurbalija leading now from Butcher, from Stu Neal. Elwood is in 4th at the moment. He's done pretty well just to keep his nose clean, and he's only lost 2 positions off the start. Andy Foster's lost 4, he's down to 5th. Abramovich has made up 5 positions, he's up to 6th, and looking to put pressure on Foster now as they come down the hill, and he goes over to the right, looking to make a move down the inside into the penultimate corner, and he gets that move down. Abramovich has made up 6 positions now. He's up to 5th. And you've got Foster and you've got Rob South there. He's lost a couple of positions off the start, but looking to get one of those back from Andy Foster now and get himself up into 6th position. He's got the inside line as they head down towards turn 1. He pulls back in to get the draft again, and then we'll pull back out. But doing that, sorry, I saw a wrong car there. South goes, Andy Foster, sorry, goes super wide, and South moves up into 6th, and Foster now has lost a position also to Poddy Flack, who's made of 6, so he's up into 7th position overall. Georgiouza has only made up 5 positions so far in this race. Oh, proper wide there from one of the Hondas. That'll be Foster going wide. Carl Smith is a DNF in the end. Has not finished this race. The whole field's still super close. All the battles with sort of less than 1.5 seconds, so that bodes well for the remainder of this race. So we're seeing Stu Neal now push Butcher. You can see how much more confident that BMW is on the brakes, but then more cornering speed then from the Alpha is able to really bite back in the corners, but they're side by side now going through as they come in towards this long left-hander. You're going to slow right down, and Butcher able to get really good traction out there in the rear-wheel drive BMW, Matty, and hold on to that position. But great battling from those two.
That was phenomenal, side by side through 2, maybe 3 corners there. Minimal contact, if any at all, and it just shows the respect these boys have got for each other as we see Stu Neal stump it up the inside. Surprisingly, Russ not being the better on the brakes into that one, which is interesting because obviously, as he's proven and said in the last couple of rounds, he is good on the brakes in that BMW, and Stu Neal's managed to get him up the inside and on the brakes.
Yeah, I wondered whether he felt like maybe he was losing a bit of time and then just didn't make it too hard for him, but he's battling back now for that position, so I'm thinking he must have just made a mistake, and perhaps just hit the brake a little bit too early or something like that. But yeah, he's certainly not given that position up. Whereas initially it did look like maybe he had just given up on it. Poddy Flack has made his way up into 6th position, or 7 positions gained for him. Butcher still battling away. He's gone up the inside. Is he going to be later on the brakes this time to get that move done? He is. And he's back up the inside into 2nd position. But such a good line there for Stu Neal, hanging it around the outside. Great traction and acceleration. But he's got the outside line for this next corner now. Can Russ Butcher hold it there? Can he make that inside line his? And the Alpha just hangs it out around the outside. And the old Trailer Park Girl keeps that 2nd position. But I don't think this battle is over quite yet. Abramovich has got past Elwood, but Elwood's not making it easy for him. Tries to hang it around the outside. Still putting pressure on Abramovich. He'll have the inside for the next corner. But Abramovich, great traction. And manages to get his bumper just ahead of the nose of Elwood. Poddy Flack now coming into the back of this, trying to get another couple of positions. Hits that curve pretty hard on the inside there. And he's later on the brakes, throws it up the inside of Elwood. A little bit of door banging, but that is what touring cars is all about. Poddy Flack taking absolutely no prisoners here as he looks to make up as many positions as possible. He's around the outside now with this long left-hander. Elwood gets it, but Poddy Flack with a cut back here, looking to get up the inside to have the inside line for the next corner. He's going to be later on the brakes and hopefully try and get past the Opel. And the Opel hangs it around the outside. Great racing here from Elwood. We don't see a lot of him because he's often towards the back, but this is great racing from Elwood. Wheel-to-wheel stuff. Poddy Flack gets that done. Elwood under pressure from South now, who also squeezes through. And then he's got Papadim coming through towards him as well. But huge credit to Elwood. They're racing wheel-to-wheel with some really fast drivers and doing a great job. As we see, South is now through. Georges User and is next on the list. Sorry, not Nick Papadim, who is a bit further back. Georges put in pressure on Elwood now to try and make up that next position. A fantastic driving from Elwood. Poddy Flack up to 5th now and looking to put pressure on Abramovich and get himself up to 4th. Russ Butcher still hanging on to that 3rd position, still less than half a second behind Stu Neal, looking to close that gap. They're all weaving on the straight, trying to break the toe. It'll be interesting to see if Rob South can make a move here, but he can't. And further back we've got Georges User and Papadim battling with each other as well as trying to get past Elwood. And Matt, you haven't said anything for about 3 minutes here because I haven't been able to take breath, but yeah, go for it, anything.
No, it's absolutely fine. I was just going to say it's fantastic to see. One, that switchback from Poddy to get past Stephen Elwood was fantastic. I do love a switchback. I've been the victim of one a few times. Ross sticking it up there, you see, then you could see he was later on the brakes and it worked for him, but unfortunately there, Stu Neal has just managed to keep that up the inside and keep 2nd place. Sorry, very quickly going back, that switchback by Poddy was phenomenal, and like you said, it's good to see Stephen Elwood up there battling with some of the faster guys. I hope he doesn't mind me saying he is normally, like you say, towards the back of the grid, and he defended and he pushed, and fair play to him. It did then open him up and make him a bit more vulnerable to the guys behind, which have now managed to make his way through, like, you know, Rob South, Georges User, Papadim. But it's a part of racing, I guess. You defend and fight and attack, and it does make you a bit more vulnerable, but fantastic to see him up there battling with the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, the key thing is being able to race cleanly and fairly with those fast guys, and he can clearly do that. So speed isn't important as long as you can race cleanly and fairly, and that is the most important thing for sim racing. So again, credit to him for that. So we're seeing Abramovich has joined this battle now for the final podium place. He's got the pace, it looks, on Butcher, but Butcher will be very, very good on the brakes heading into this penultimate corner, and he keeps the position because of his braking ability. But certainly looks like the Alpha particularly can corner so much smoother with a bit more bite through those medium speed corners, as can the Volvo. So that looks like where the BMW is not quite as fast. So is Obradovic going to make a move now down into turn 1? Is he going to shop to the inside, or is he just going to hold position? It looks like he's just going to hold position, and he makes a little bit of a mistake actually and loses a bit of time. George User fighting away with Rob South now. He gets through. He's made 9 positions now, up into 6th. Obradovic has a 7-second lead now from Stu Neal, who's in 2nd, under pressure from Butcher or Obradovic. So, yeah, Kurbelija absolutely run away with it tonight. Definitely the driver of the night, even if not the driver of the race. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Obradovic still trying to pressure Butcher here and get that extra position. Come on in, Matty.
I was just going to say, absolutely, Kurbelija's absolutely smashing it. His fastest laps. Been around the 209.0s all night long. Next fastest is Phil Lawson, actually, is half a second slower, which sounds like a lot, but when we're talking about the likes of Bojan Kurbelija, who's been on fire tonight, to be half a second slower on the fastest lap is fairly impressive. His average lap is around 1.5 seconds quicker than anybody else out there on this race. Yeah,
it is looking like this is our penultimate lap, so we'll have one more lap after this one, and then we will have our winner crowned. So it's still all going on out there. Some of the gaps starting to get a little bit bigger though. Drivers probably getting tired now. Last race of the evening, tyres going off. Drivers getting tired, as I say. So still, anything could happen as Russ is managing to close that gap up all the time with Stu Neal, but he just doesn't quite have the pace to overtake him. But hopefully, for his sake and his race at least, it will give him the opportunity to keep this last podium position, but we'll see.
Sorry to just jump in there, but if you want to flip on to Phil Lawson or Nick Papadin, they have just been swapping places over the last few corners. I've just noticed them back and forth, and here we see Nick Papadin trying to stick it to the inside. Not quite good enough on the brakes, and Phil Lawson managed to keep it in front there. Looks like they're having a right ding-dong battle over there for 6th and 7th spot.
They are, but Obradovic has managed to get an inside line going up over the bridge and down into the braking zone, which has forced Russ Butcher wide, and Russ now has lost that position, so he's down to 4th. Still made him 6 positions, nothing to be ashamed of there, but I'm sure he would have loved that last podium position. Obradovic now going after Stu Neal, and of course Volvo against Alpha. He's going to want those points, Matty.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when it comes down to this, like I said before, it's all about that patience. But last lap, you are going to try and make any move you possibly can, and those Alphas have been very impressive. But if you're thinking about the team, you want to get as many points as you can, and Obradovic sticking it in there with his Volvo is doing really well.
Deacon getting past Elwood, and Elwood fighting back again. Gets that position back, so Deke's back down to 9th. He's made 7 positions so far in this race. I'm sure he'd love one more, but he is battling away as they come down now. I think he's just got that move done. Yep, just had the pace over the hill there, and Deeks gets up to 8th and 8 positions gained.
It certainly seems like they've made him work. Certainly made him work for those 8 positions. I've been keeping an eye on him, and for the first 2, maybe 3 laps, he was sitting at the back struggling to make moves. So he has made up those gaps, and fair play to him, but he's struggled.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's probably got caught in all that carnage towards the start. But here we see Kurbelija crossing the line for 3 victories in 3 this evening, and that makes him absolutely a championship contender. Stu Neal ahead of Obradovic by a gnat's wing. Russ Butcher in 4th, Poddy Flack in a fantastic 5th, 8 positions gained for him. Nick Papadim in 6th, Phil Lawson 7 positions gained for him. Great stuff. Deeks 8 positions gained, we just talked about him in 8th, Joke in 9th, George User in 10th. Excuse me, and then you've got Elwood, South, Campion, Alves, Foster, Neal, and Smith Kerbalija with 3 race wins, 3 fastest laps, and pole position. Pretty much a clean sweep. So absolutely fantastic result for him. Impressive stuff from Kerbalija tonight. Hard to argue that he was anything other than perfection.
Without a doubt, that last race as well, incredibly impressive. When you look at his fastest lap.
Apologies, folks. It looks like my Discord has crashed. So maybe that's kind of why Aaron was having issues this evening.
Or Mr. Bullen has crashed.
Yeah, we both crashed there, mate. I think that might be why Aaron's been having issues tonight. Can you hear me now?
I certainly can.
Yeah, great. I can hear and see you again now. So sorry about we lost you about 2 words into whatever you were saying. About whatever you were talking about. But there we go. It is where it is. Rather than ask you to repeat yourself, we will just go into the SkyPad and do our replay reviews. So I think I'm going to...
Whilst you're very quickly looking for a replay, I'm just going to pop on there that Aaron has commented in the stream, just so he can still add. He's put driver of the race there for Kerbalija, but driver of the race to Russ, not giving up against Stu, trying to get past. Would have been so easy just to accept it and let him go. So fair play to him on that one. He did say kudos to everybody tonight.
Yeah, no, I go for that. To be fair, Russ drove really, really well. So this was a mistake from Bill early on. That was a shame because he was battling for the lead on that first lap. But this was just the absolute carnage of that first 2 laps where people just kept... I mean, to be fair, it just looked like they were just diving out the way of Kerbalija, but because he's up to 7th after like 3 corners, which is just mad. But yeah, it was just proper side-by-side stuff. Just 2 more quick replays to take a look at. So this is the next one. So this is so this is the second part of what we just saw. So the continuation of that. Just seeing Stephen Elwood on stream there. So you can see the mistakes there, and that just allowed Russ Butcher straight through, nice and easy, like 4 positions in 1 corner, just from keeping it tight. But then that was so good there from Russ, because as you saw, the cars in front of him were making contact, and he just managed to slow it, weave his way between 3 cars, and then get those positions back, and that's really impressive. It's hard to describe how hard that is to do, isn't it, Matt? You just have that awareness. Yeah,
it's knowing where your car is from being inside, behind the wheel, but knowing where every other car is around you is really difficult, and to find that gap and slot his way through, that was incredibly impressive. I remember seeing that live, and fair play to him. He's had a great drive tonight, to be fair. Russ has had a great night. Yeah, and here he is again, giving us entertainment late on the brakes, keeping Stu Neal behind him at the time. Of course, finished in 4th in the end, but fantastic racing from him. From all the guys, really, it was proper, super entertaining all the way through. My camera keeps failing for some reason. I'm not sure why that's happened, but we won't concern ourselves with my ugly mug not being available. What we will concern ourselves with is the driver in the interview room. So, Matty, over to you to interview our guest driver this evening. Yes, thank you very much. We're joined by Mr. Stu Neal. You had an epic race there with Russ battling, defending, attacking, side by side, door to door. How is it when you're going door to door and battling like that? Especially when you're coming down towards the end of the race of race 3, it's a tough one. Reverse.
How is it when you're going side by side, door to door? Especially with a rear-wheel drive car as well, because I knew that if I just touched him even just slightly, he was going off. So I was being as respectful as I could be, but still pushing as hard as I could, if you get what I mean. If he was in a front-wheel drive, I could have been a bit harder and pushed a bit more and not worried about firing him off. But like I said, that car, I couldn't take the risk. So yeah, and then I went and made a mistake myself, which allowed it. I got away, and then obviously made a mistake and allowed him to catch back up again. I was like, oh, but lucky for me, obviously Obradovic was there, so that gave him something to sort of contend with and allowed me a bit of breathing space. But yeah, I'm not keen on that track. I never have been in the TCRs or whatever either. I got a lucky break at the start of that race in the race 3 and just managed to get my head down and get through the traffic quite quick. But the other races, I really struggled because I lost the toe in both race 1 and 2, and then I was just easy pickings then for anybody with less ballast behind. But no, it was a good night's racing. It was good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned there, the draft, and I've not raced at this track myself, but it was something that was picked up on prior to race 1, that those long straights can be brutal if you don't have that toe, and it can be incredibly important. I've not driven the TCR cars. Is that generally a big thing across any circuit, or is it specific to here in Sepang that have those really, really long straights?
There's obviously the long straights do make a difference, and it's funny that some tracks the draft seems to work better than others as well. So it's a weird one, but certainly the TCRs pick up good draft, and as do these. Yeah, you can't really put it down to as I said, some tracks it's air's the same all over the world, so it shouldn't really make any difference. But some tracks it just seems to be a lot better than others, which is weird, but it is what it is. So, but no, it's like I said, it's especially when you've got ballast. As we've said before, when you've got ballast, it's tough, and you need a toe to be able to sort of try and keep up, and that's the only thing that can keep you going, if you get what I mean. And you make one mistake and lose it, and then anybody behind you that's obviously, as I said, got less ballast and can put the lap times in, they're slowly reeling you in, and obviously once they get in your toe, it's all over then, and the best you can hope for is them getting past and then sticking behind them, really, because trying to hold them up is pointless, obviously, because you're then just going to bring more people in behind you as well, and you end up losing more places. So yeah, it's kind of live to fight another day, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was proven in race 1 with George User struggling. Well, we weren't sure in race 1 what it would be, whether he had damage, whether the tyres had gone, but I think it was similar over the 3 races. So I'm going to go out there and guess that it was the ballast that he had on board. He struggled to stick to Kerbalizer, but everybody did tonight. It was phenomenal. And he did drop back into the clutches of the chasing pack, and I think he ended up 4th on race 1. So clearly that ballast is really having an effect on this track in particular.
Yes.
But it was a great night, amazing racing, and congrats on that performance at the end there. And just make a note to there, like you said, when you were battling with Russ, to have that knowledge and know, look, this is a BMW, it's a rear wheel drive, people know that, but to think, I need to be extra careful not to give him that little tap. Fair play to you for that respect and that great racing, and yeah, great to see, so thank you.
Yeah, cheers. No, thanks for, as I said, thanks again for commentating.
Not a problem. More than happy to be here. I'm enjoying it. Thank you for having me very much so, and I'll hand over to Mike if he's got anything.
Yeah. So obviously we moved to the first time we'll be doing a feature race and a sprint with I'm assuming a mandated pit stop.
Yes.
Next week, so something new, an unusual track for touring cars as well, being Bathurst. So yeah, any thoughts ahead of that? Give us something juicy to look forward to.
Well, of all the tracks to have a feature race on, because it obviously Bathurst can be carnage because it's so thin and it's so easy to make a mistake up through in the mountain section, and obviously there's nowhere to go. So if somebody does make a mistake, there's going to be a car park basically.
Yeah,
there's nowhere to go.
We've raced it in GTs lots of times. So
yeah, I mean it's a brilliant track. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I do love the track. But it's so tough to race on and so unforgiving. It's brilliant for hot lapping on, obviously, because you don't have to worry about anybody else then. But yeah, so obviously quali is going to be massively key there for getting as high up as you can. We've got obviously ballast isn't going to be so much of an issue, obviously, in the mountain section because it's very difficult to pass there anyway. So even if you have got a load of ballast, that's not going to make a lot of difference. But once you've got on that straight out the back, that it's going to be key getting a good exit, because otherwise, I mean, even if you do get a good exit, anybody without ballast is going to swallow us up down that straight. So yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one for sure. As I said, I've no idea what. I think I'm still going to be maybe second or third in the championship, so I'm still going to have 50 odd kilos, I think, or round about there. So yeah, it's going to be tough, that's for sure.
It'll be tough, but I'm sure it will be interesting. And of course, being a feature race, it'll mean the drivers have got to get that through a much longer race, which is something that, you know, you get used to doing your 15 minutes having a rest, 15 minutes having a rest. So having that longer race will be quite the challenge for our drivers next week, I'm sure. Thanks, Stu, so much for joining us in the comments box and giving us some insight into the racing this evening. It's been a fantastic watch again. Entertainment right through the field and right through all three races. Fantastic stuff to watch. It's been our pleasure to commentate on it. Aaron's had to shoot off early, so that's why he's not here right now. So thanks again to Aaron. Thank you to our wonderful co-commentator. I can't even talk now. Co-commentator Matty Heaton. Thank you very much for your time this evening. I've been Mike Bullen, and we will be back next week for Bathurst, Australia, for our feature